Hello there. Have you always wanted to create a podcast of your own? Today, I'm going to show you how you can create a successful podcast from start to finish. I'm going to show you how you can record your podcast, how you can edit and publish your podcast. My name is Sola Mathew, and if this is the first time that you are seeing my video, I will encourage you to like this video, follow me, and subscribe so that you can see all of my videos whenever I publish them. So now let's talk about choosing a platform. There are a lot of platforms by which you can publish your podcast, but the one that I found to be easier, especially for beginners, and because I also want to make this video as simple as possible, is Spotify. So it's formerly known as Anchor. And with Spotify, you can even download the app, record within the app, and start podcasting. But Spotify has announced that starting from April, they will stop their in-app editing software. So it means that podcasters will not be able to edit using the Spotify platform. Anyway, that is another story for another day. But there's always one tool that I've always used right from 2017 when I started podcasting. And I first heard about this tool from Dio Samuel. He's a great podcaster in Nigeria that I've learned so much from. So the first thing that you need to start podcasting is a theme. So more like a topic, but a broad topic whereby anytime you want to talk about podcasts, it will relate to that theme. So for example, I am into digital marketing. So I do podcasts on digital marketing. So I have a lot of things that I could talk about. Email marketing is there, display advert, content marketing, AI, and so much more. So yours could also come from what you love, right? So for example, let's say you love watching movies. Instead of just talking about movies with your friends, you can start a podcast about talking about different things that you've seen in a movie. For example, let's say you want to talk about, reviews of movies. So if it is also music, you can do that. I don't see a lot of podcasts like that, but it's something that you can start. Basically, choose what you love talking about or in your area of expertise. That being said, the next thing that you need to start podcasting is your voice. In fact, I think that's probably the first thing, because I first heard that from, Dio Samuel, and it was like, when I was going through one of his courses and he said, the first thing you need to start podcasting is your voice. I was like, wow, that is amazing, because everybody has got a voice. You have a voice, and if you have a voice, then you can start podcasting. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how you can start your own very podcast. So there are a few things you need to start podcasting. You will need a laptop, because obviously I'm on my laptop now. I'm going to show you how you can start podcasting from your laptop, okay? But if you don't have a laptop, you can actually start with your phone, and that is why that Spotify apps come to use. But they are discontinued that one, so you need a laptop. So so I'll be using laptop basically to show you how to podcast here. Okay, so you need a laptop, you need a software called Audacity. Okay, so if you search for Audacity, this is the software. It's called Audacity. All right, so I just searched for Audacity, and it's actually a totally free software. Okay, and you might need a mic, right? So it's not compulsory, but I think it's better if you have a mic, because it makes your sound to be better. So I'm currently using a mic, and in the description of this video, you're going to see a link to where you can get some of the tools that I am mentioning. This is Audacity, okay? Audacity. So if you click on Audacity, it will lead you to this particular website. So you can accept their terms, all right? And you can just click on download. So you can also download Audacity plus free effects and samples. Requires the Mouse Hub installer. So just click on this, download with no extra, okay? If you click on download with no extra, so you'll be able to download Audacity. I have already downloaded it and installed it on my laptop, and it's pretty easy to install. Just click on next until you get to the end, and you will install Audacity. And the next thing that you need is where you upload your podcast, and that is why this Spotify comes to play. So you see, make your podcast the next big thing. And if you are in the US, Spotify pays you for placing adverts on your podcast if you want advert to be on your podcast. Okay, so this is Spotify. So what you need to do is click on sign up if you haven't signed up on Spotify, and just sign up. Okay, but as for me, I've already signed up and I've created my own podcast. So the name of my podcast is Digital Marketing Talk. If you want to upload your new episode, we're going to come back to that because you need to upload new episode. Okay, but the first thing you want to do is to record your podcast, right? So once you record it, then you now edit it and then you then upload it. So let's go to recording. So this is the way Audacity looks after you've installed it. Now, I've not started recording at all on Audacity. Okay, so once you've installed it, so I've installed my own because I have a MacBook. So I'm currently using a MacBook. Here, I am using my mic. So you can connect with so even if you don't have, what is it called now? Even if you don't have a mic, you can actually use your phone's mic. If you have an iPhone and connect it to it. I don't know if it works with Android, but I'm using an iPhone as well. So, and you can use your MacBook Pro microphone or your own laptop's microphone. And if you're using Microsoft Audio and so on and so forth, you can use these things actually. So make sure that if you're using a Bluetooth mic or you're using your mic like this, make sure that it's connected like this. All right. So I will just choose my own mic. So I'm using this particular mic here. If you have like a speaker, maybe you have somewhere that the audio will be going out to, maybe you want to talk to other people, all right? And then you want to record your podcast and you want to also listen to some of the playback, you can choose where you want it to play from. But in this case, I will just leave it as my MacBook Pro speaker. You need to now record your podcast. Are you ready? Remember, if you have a voice, you can start podcasting. All right. So I'm just assume that I have a script that I want to talk about. Let's say I want to talk about how to record a podcast. So let me just show you a couple of things to know about the interface. Actually, I'm going to show you all you need to know to start podcasting. Okay. So this one you're looking at here is the record button. So once you click on it, it will start recording. We're going to start recording very soon. And this one, in fact, let me start recording now. So I'll show you some things, okay, that we'll do by the time we want to edit it. So we'll start removing some unnecessary things that we don't want, okay? So this one is for recording. So let's click on recording. So right now you can see that this thing is showing that it's recording, okay? So if this is not showing this wave, these big waves, it means that it is not recording. For example, let me keep quiet for a second. Can you see what is happening here? So you see that here, there is no wave. So it means that this is not recording. So if you are trying to record and this wave is not showing, it means that there is no audio. So, and there are times that some people, I don't think this has happened to me before, but it might have. It might have happened to me. So basically, there are times that some people would think that they've clicked on record and it hasn't started recording, and they'll just, or maybe their audio is not connected and they just finished, recording their podcast in quote, and then they want to edit it and then they just see that there's no sound at all. So you don't want that to happen to you. Make sure you check this to see that your podcast is actually working. Okay. So what I need to show you next is this. So this particular tool is for selection. By the time we get there, I'm going to show you how it works. For example, you can select a particular portion of your podcast and delete them or cut them. We're going to get into that. Then this particular one is for, it's called envelope tool. So basically this one helps you to kind of increase the wave or reduce the wave. So that is the sound or the volume at that particular time of your audio. So this one is for shifting. Yeah, it's called time shift. By the time we get there, we're going to see. And this one is called draw tool. Now, like I said, I'm just going to show you the ones that you need the most, like the ones that I usually use. So I use this one a lot. And then I use this zoom. And then I use this shift, right? Sometimes, right? And then I use this a lot. So these 4 tools are the most used tools for me when it comes to podcasting. All right. And these ones, you can also use them to zoom in and zoom out, but we're going to look into that later. And we have cut, copy. By the time you select a particular portion, especially after you've stopped recording, you can then cut, copy, and paste. All right. Let me now show you basically how to do recording. Of course, I've started recording already. So let's say I want to start a podcast. I could say something like, hello, my name is Sola Mathew, and in today's podcast, I'll be sharing with you how you can create a successful podcast. Or I could actually say something like, in today's podcast, in today's episode, I'll be showing you how you can get audience to listen to your podcast. Now, let's assume that I have stopped recording. Okay, so if you want to stop recording, all you need to do is click on stop. You see, if you want to start again, just click on start and it will start again. Okay, and if you want to stop recording, just click on stop. Now we have stopped the recording. Okay, so let's go back. So you see, if you scroll to the side, or you can just come here and scroll to the side. Okay, you can scroll to the side. So let's say we are at the beginning of the podcast now. So let's play what we have recorded and see how it goes. So if I click on space bar on my laptop, it will play. And I can also click on this play button to play. So let me just click on this play button and see what happens. So you see, it says here, as you can see, it says play, or space. If you click on space, it will just, play. All right. So let's play it and see what happens. So right now you can see that this thing is showing that it's recording. Okay. So if this is not showing this wave, these big waves, it means that it is not recording. For example, so you see that the podcast now, the audio is playing, right? So now let me show you one of the ways. That one's the tools, right? So let's play it again from the beginning and see what happens. So you see that in this podcast, okay, the beginning, all right, let's zoom it and see. So, I told you that you could zoom. So let's zoom. So we zoomed in, right? Now, all of this space is called empty space. Usually it's not really advisable. It's in radio, they call it dead silence or something like that. So it's not usually advisable to leave a lot of spaces like this, except maybe you want it to be, because there are some ways by which you can make it intentional, but it doesn't really make sense. Imagine that you are listening to a podcast because your audience are going to listen to your podcast from different places. Maybe they are driving to work, or maybe they are resting and just put their earpiece in their ear, and they are listening to podcast, and then there's silence for some period of time. They were like, what is happening? Is my phone dead? You understand? So that is why it's advisable not to really put a lot of space. So in this case, so you see, I'm using this tool, but this selection tool. So I just select this from here, right, to this place. So imagine that I want my podcast to start from here, right? I'm just going to right click. I'm actually going to just click on delete. So it's right click does not work. So I'm just click on delete. So you just click on delete. Okay. You can also come here and click on cut. You can copy, you can paste, right? So, but the one I want to do is I just want to delete it. Now I'm seeing some tools as well. Say trim audio outside selection, select. So let's click on trim audio outside selection and say no. So you see, everything outside of the selection has been removed. So that's not what we want. So let's look at this one. Trim silence audio. So if you silence this one, it's already silent. So that's not what we want. So in this case, I'm just going to click on my Mac. I'll click on backspace. On your laptop, maybe if you're using Windows, you could click on delete or backspace. So I'm just click on backspace. Now, as I clicked on backspace, you see that the podcast now starts from here. So let's click on space again and play it again. So right now you can see, so you see the podcast started directly from where we wanted it to start from. So if you want to, let's say this this area also is silent. Okay. Can you see that? So that's why I told you that silence sometimes is good, but sometimes, especially when it's too long, it's bad. So let's play this again. Now you can see that this thing is, so he said, now you can see that. So let's select this place and then click on delete. Right. So you see, let's play it again and see what happens. You can see that this thing is, so you can see that this thing, and it just goes straight. There's no stop. For example, if you have said something like, too much in a podcast, you can remove it just the way I did. So let's look at some words that we might want to remove. You can see that this thing is showing that it's recording. Okay. So if this is not, so let's say that, we want to remove this okay that is here. Okay. Recording. Okay. So you see the okay is from here, right? And there are also some spaces there. Okay. Okay. Can you hear that? So let's click on delete. We've deleted that. So let's play it. Recording. So if this is, so it's that simple, right? It's that simple to record podcasts. So if you come here, you see that where we had a silence here, there's a lot of silence here. You could just remove them. So I'm just going to click on delete. Can you see? It's pretty simple. Can you use this software right now? Are you already feeling like a pro? Okay, so that's how to record and edit your podcast. Now, let's say that you want to bring a sound into this podcast, right? Maybe you want to you want to add a background sound to your podcast. One of the ways by which you can do that is you could go to music. Let's go to our website. So if you search for YouTube audio library, right? Studio audio library. So if you sign in, you'll be able to see, different audio that you can download. And there's also another one, Ben Sound. So let's click on Ben Sound, for instance. I've used a lot of this for recording my podcast audio. So you see, they have some free resources and they have some that are not free. So if you browse, you'll be able to see. So that's actually a background music. So some of them are paid for and some of them are free. And all right, so you can actually download any of this. If I click on this button here, it says download demo. So I think you might need to log in and find the ones that are actually free and then download them. But in this case, I'm just going to go to the YouTube audio library and download audio from there. So I'll just go to this YouTube studio library. So you need to have a Gmail in order to access this. So I'll just click on sign in to YouTube. All right. So it has signed in to my YouTube channel. Okay. So let me just play. So you see, you can actually search for sounds. You can search for a lot of things, and download them. And it's totally free to use, especially on YouTube and your podcast. Okay. So let me click on download. For example, I'm just going to use this one, download, and I'll be using this as an example. Okay. So now let's go back to our recording. So if you play, you see what is happening here. You see, that is playing without recording. Okay, so let's say you want to increase the sound, right? The feedback of your audio. If you click on this tool, like I told you, these are the tools that are often used. Envelope tool, click on it, and you can increase. You see, I decrease it and then increase it. Let's play it now. Can you see what is happening? So you see, there are also other things that you can actually do. If you scroll up, right, and click on the function, right? For example, if you go to effect, you can amplify maybe a certain part of the audio. You can compress, you can change pitch, speed, you can add echo, you can even do noise reduction. So let's say that you recorded it without a mic and you want to reduce the noise, you can do that. But it's always better to actually record with a mic. So, but in this case, I'm just going to leave. These options are things that you can explore at your own time. Okay. So, but let's say you want to amplify this. So it says select the audio to amplify. So I'll click on OK. And then I'll go back to this tool. And then let's say we want to amplify. Let me come to the beginning. Or let's actually come here. This is not recording. So let's select this part and then go back to our effect, amplify. Now you can actually preview it. So it means that this is not recording. So if you are trying to, can you see it? You can increase it, right? So, but it says here, because if you see that you're not seeing the OK here, it means that it's too much. So let's leave it the way it is. So it means that this is not recording. So if you are trying to, right. So those are the things that you can do to amplify the voice. All right. Now let's assume, okay, now let's add the music, the background music. So you could come here and click on file, right? Import file. So import an audio file and you go to download. So I click on download. This is the audio that I just downloaded from YouTube. So click on open and you're going to see. So you see that this one is actually having very big wave. That means that the volume is quite bigger than the one that we have here. So let's click from the beginning and play them together and see how it will be. So right now you can see that this thing is showing. Now if you listen to that, you see that the background audio is quite, louder than the podcast itself. So what you can do now is you can just click on this tool again, this envelope tool, and then drag this downwards so it will reduce the volume drastically, right? So once you do that, go back to your selection tool, put it at the beginning and play it again. Okay, so let's listen to what we have now, okay? So right now you can see that this thing is showing that it's recording. So if this is not showing this wave, these big waves, it means that it is. How many of you are enjoying this already? Okay, so you can zoom out again. Now, if you look at this, the podcast started, the audio podcast itself started from the beginning, right? Straight from the beginning, but the audio doesn't start from the beginning. So you can, if you want, you can delete this, select this, and then delete it. So let's play it again. So right now you can see that you say they both started the same time. Let's assume that you want the audio background to start after you've said some words. So you can come here, choose this tool, all right, and use it to drag it to the side. Okay. Now let's play from the beginning and see what happens. So right now you can see that this thing is showing that it's recording. Okay, so once you're done with your podcast, let's assume that you've recorded everything. You will now need to export it. So come here, all right, go to file and click on export. So always export as MP3 because it makes it easier to play on any platform. Okay, export. Now here is where you now give your podcast a title. So let's say you want to name it podcast tutorial. So I just named it podcast tutorial sample. And then you choose where you want it to save. So I can say desktop, or I can actually choose downloads. So let me put it at downloads. And then here, okay, you can make it variable. Just leave it the way it is as variable. Can make it, the more you have, the better the quality. So, but this is also okay. And then leave it as joint stereo. I like it that way. And then click on save. All right. So say your track will be mixed down and exported as one stereo file. So just click on OK. Right. Now here is a very important thing that you need to do. All right. This is called a meta tags, especially if you're uploading, if you want your podcast to show on platforms like Apple Podcasts and other podcasts. They use this to track them. So here I'll just put artist name Sola Mathew. Okay, then here I would name this sample podcast. So let's say that's the title. And here, if you have album title, you could put like an album title. It's not compulsory. You could name it maybe digital marketing talk. So let's say that's the name of our podcast. Track number. So let's say episode so I could put that as 109. That is, if you've recorded up to that number of episodes. What year? I could put 2024. And journal. Yeah, this is very important. So this is where you now put podcast. Please always select podcast here. All right. Because it's very important. If you don't have it as podcast, it's not going to really work for you. Okay. So make sure you put it as podcast. So in fact, they don't even have the option there, but just write podcast there, please. Okay. Because you are creating a podcast. All right. Now, comment, you can decide to put like visit solamatthew.com to learn more. All right, so that's that. Software, we just leave this, maybe Audacity. All right, Audacity. Let's give them credit for giving us free software. Okay, so once you're done with that, just click on OK. All right. And your podcast will be exported. So you see, it's exporting now. So it's already exported. Now let's go and look for our podcast and see how it's going to play. So once I come to download, right, I'm going to see the podcast here. So I can just click on the podcast. So this is a podcast sample. And then I can click on play. So right now you can see that this thing is showing that it's recording. So if this is not showing this wave, these big waves, it means that it is not recorded. This is so beautiful. I really feel happy doing this. Okay. So now the next thing you want to do, okay, is to go to upload your podcast so that people can listen to your podcast. And the way to do that is go to Shopify, right? Spotify. Go to Spotify and then click on new episode, right? And then here, you see, now they are telling you now that if you want to edit your podcast, you need to use Riverside. So that's why I said that it's better for you to know how to record and edit your podcast with Audacity. So once you come here, just click on select file. And once you select file, click on your podcast. All right. And then click on open or upload. And once you upload it, give your podcast a title. All right. Give it a description. And then if you want to publish it now, you publish it. You can also schedule your podcast for a specific date. Then if your podcast has explicit content, please state it there. Promotional content, state it there, and so much more. So once you do that, once you have your podcast here, just click on publish if you want to publish, and your podcast will be ready. Okay. So I'm not gonna publish this because I have a podcast, which this is just, example. I'm just using it as an example. So let's play it and see how it's. So right now you can see that this thing is showing. Can you see? So once you're done publishing, share your podcast. One of the ways to get listeners is to share your podcast on social media. Tell your friends that you have a podcast now and let them, listen to your podcast and also share it with others. All right. So let me search. I can keep this as safe as draft and then I'll delete it later. And so you see, this is my podcast home. Right now I have like 2,970 plays, right? I have 7 audience last 7 days and I have 54 followers. That's amazing. But please, if you're watching this video right now, make sure that you search for Digital Marketing Talk Podcast by Sola Mathew and follow me on any of your favorite podcast platform. Okay. So, and we share value actually, just like what you've also got today from this video. So once you've published, okay, if you come to this, let me show you episode. So if you click on episode, okay, this is the one that we just did that we haven't published yet. So this one, if you click on this particular one and then click on copy public link to episode, right? So you can then, let's play it. So this is the link that you're going to share with people. All right. And people can listen to your podcast right from Spotify. But there's also something that you can also do, right? If you go to the settings of your podcast, you'll be able to see how you can distribute your podcast. Maybe in another video, I might be able to do that. But if I haven't done that, you can watch it on YouTube All right. How you can distribute your podcast to other platforms. Because normally once you publish your podcast, all right, you'll be able to distribute your podcast to different platforms like Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and so on. So these are different platforms where my podcasts are being distributed. If I click on this now, it will take me to Apple where I can listen to my podcast as well. So this is a podcast on Apple. You can also share with people. All right. So I hope you got something valuable from today's tutorial. Let me know, has this tutorial been valuable to you? And is there anything in particular that you want me to cover maybe in my future videos? It might be relating to podcasts, right? Or it might be relating to something else that has to do with digital marketing. Share it in the comment section, okay? And if you want to give me a feedback regarding my video, I'll so much appreciate it as well. So maybe there's something that you think I should improve, or I'm open to feedback, okay? Also, like I said, if there's any topic that you want me to cover in any of my videos, maybe in future videos, drop it in the comment section. Who knows, I might cover that in a future video. All right. And I might also even mention your name because you requested for it. All right. So guys, that is everything that you need to know about creating a successful podcast. And please like this video, subscribe to my channel. All right. Follow me and ensure to turn up notifications so that anytime I post videos like this, you'll be the first person to know about it. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Bye.